is Petra Hrascanec, and I come from Croatia, and tonight we presented the work Wheel. That's in English, but in Croatian it's Kolo, and it's a work that Sasha Božić and me did almost, I think, 4 years ago now, but it's still kind of playing in different formats with different people. And we are very glad that this is kind of the piece that was first time presented in Riga, because it's super connected to the folklore of Croatia and kind of questioning the form of traditional dances in a society. Today, Sasha and me question a lot the format of a presentation, in sense of what are the expectations of a certain form. So if you come to a theater and you kind of expect that a contemporary dance performance is gonna begin or end in a certain way, or we discuss the notion of trusting that in theater there is a certain act that we all believe in. For example, an actor comes and says that he or she is Hilda, and we all say yes to it. So this is kind of like an expectation that we all trust. In the same time, I think the format of something, or let's say the cornerstones of certain form, can be questioned in various ways and kind of open up the bone of it. So in that case, I would say that we experiment a lot with different kind of formats. So we sometimes use folklore, but sometimes we use pop music, sometimes we use musical, or we kind of tend to vary, or let's say not put so hard borders between certain forms and naming of it. So this is how we came up to the idea of playing with folklore, in sense of going to the roots of it and seeing how can this dance, a very traditional dance, very known dance, can be seen in a very different way. Like, what is the practice of folklore today was our question. Well, first of all, the most important thing for us, I would say, is the individuality of a performer. So that's the character, or I mean, not the character, I would not say it like this, in sense of a theater character that has a name and a certain very strict narrative, but more like, what is the person, what is the person's work, what is the practice, what does it bring to the stage, this individuality that creates this, for me, holiness of the theater. So that's one thing, like carefully picking up vibes that come from a certain performer and then enhancing them in a sense of the story or the thread line that's been laid down in a certain composition or work or a dramaturgy. Sasha and me, we tend to really work a lot with something with a notion that is called practice and meaning. So in that sense, if I'm, for example, I can show it very simply, if I'm coming on stage and just standing like this and looking forward, it's more a neutral thing. But if I'm coming on stage and just doing this, at one point I'm starting a relationship. So the relationship comes then through my eyes. So where I look is where I send my attention, and then this attention can be read by the audience by certain stereotypic and conventional rules of cultural interdialoguing. So basically, while using it, we are questioning it. So it's not that we are trying to create a narrative, but kind of we are trying to play around it, let's say, or see how things can work differently. To be honest, in Wheel, we don't have a storyline that goes from beginning to the end, like a dramaturgical line that would fit, let's say, a literal piece. A piece of art that comes in a literal form, but we do have certain scenes that have certain rhythms or tastes. I would say more colors of what we think is happening, although the performers are not creating a certain storyline. It was not the original idea, but while we were working in rehearsals, we had really a lot of fun. We were crying from laughter at one point. And yeah, there was a notion of we don't want to make fun about the form. We don't want to make fun about folklore. We don't think it's something to be laughed at. We just think that today the professional production of folklore is a bit, I think, out of date in sense of how it relates to a contemporary body in a society. So I would say that maybe this is something we find all funny, because it's repeating some stereotypes that don't link to us anymore. Although somehow we all, I don't know, I remember we were talking how in the rehearsal we still kind of, we feel this great participation when a very strong choir sings, or there is something that touches your inside, because we are used to it. It's a part of our legacy, and there is something we play around with. I would not say that we are trying to laugh to folklore, although this has nothing to do with the performance being funny. I think it's just around playing with the term, as I said, practice and meaning, in sense of what else can a gesture bring. How today we see a gesture of a certain very masculine guy taking a woman's hand. Like today is funny, and 200 or 300 years ago it was maybe in a village super normal. Maybe today even it is in some village super normal. And then I think it's a mirror, that this humor is a mirror of where we are today, I think, as a society, and I love it because of it. It's my first time in Riga, and I have to say it's a very beautiful city. I didn't even imagine it's so beautiful as it is right now. We were all commenting how it's so green and it's so calm, and it's really beautiful. Well, the first thing we all notice, I have to say, is the beautiful space that is, let's say, in this theater academy somehow available. We all half of us work at the academy that also has actors and dancers in Croatia. We were taking pictures, like this would be beautiful to enjoy as well. And the other thing is, I think people here are super, this is something that's my kind of thing that I'm gonna take in my pocket. I had an experience of a very calm and quiet persons that really go deep into something that is maybe not even something they recognize, but they feel it. This is how I felt today, the audience, and I found it quite touching, because I think I thought it's a very Croatian performance, and I was actually very glad that it found a way to somebody else's eye. And I had a feeling somehow I connected it with the Scandinavian spirit that I feel usually when I'm up north. It's certainly a very big difference than the southern spirit that sometimes maybe goes in Croatia. But this is something I think is very specific, and I'm saying this because usually we don't really realize from outside how people see us. So I would say this is a big plus for you as a society.